Hey guys, welcome back to the second part of our Lada demolition video series. Because our original plan was to rebuild the engine in the next step, I removed nearly all parts out of the engine bay this week, but then we changed our plan and carried on with disassemble the suspensions and the front axle. So, have fun watching this video. First step will be to disassemble the engine. And you may ask yourself, why? Yeah, there are two simple reasons for this. Reason one, now the engine bay is already disassembled, so I have good access to the engine and will take care of this now. The second reason is, when we bought Oleg, he had a loose timing chain due to a not working chain tensioner, due to too low oil pressure, due to not regular oil changes. I replaced the chain tensioner before we drove Oleg up here, but now I will take care of this again and replace the timing chain and all parts that belong to it. Yeah, this will be the first steps today, so let's get started. So after a few hours of struggling around with this part, I've finally managed to remove it. To be able to remove the cylinder head, I removed the intake and the exhaust manifold. This will also make it a lot easier to clean them later on. Crusty. As the intake and the exhaust manifold are removed, we now can have a first look at the valve stem and maybe check if some seals are leaking. The lower openings here are the exhaust ones and the upper ones are the intake ones. Yes, and I can go in there with the finger and check if they are dry. This exhaust valve stem is a little bit wet, a little bit oily. So on this one we have to change the seal. So we will probably change all valve stem seals. So now I will remove the old bracket for the alternator, because the plan is to get a new one which will lift the alternator up to the top of the engine, so that when we drove through deep waters the alternator will not be flooded. Because there's rust underneath the current underbody protection, my plan is to sand it all down and paint it with new underbody protection. But to do this properly, I have to remove everything from under the car, which includes the exhaust, the transfer case, prop shafts and so on. And also because the exhaust has a small hole which has to be fixed, and a lot of the other parts have to be reworked. After the slight changes of plans of yesterday, where we decided to not to go on with the engine for now and not remove the front differential, we will now remove the front axle and the engine mounts and clean them all and paint them to put them back in, and then remove the front differential, because for now I need something to support the engine from underneath when we remove the engine mounts, and when we remove the front differential there is only the oil sump underneath, and I don't want to push against the oil sump from underneath, so we'll leave the front differential in place for now and carry on with the front axle, and then we'll come back to the front differential and the engine. I will have to lose the ball joints, and I bought some new tools. They should make the life a little bit easier with this work. Yeah, so I think it's time for some time lapse. A little bit scared of breaking something. This will not come loose. Let's try the little bit bigger version of this. Because the ball joint and the steering will not come loose, I'll first try to loosen the lower ball joint, and then the upper, and maybe then I can tilt it around and wobble a little bit. Maybe this will help. It seems that the ball joint splitter I bought are slightly too narrow in the notch here, so I cannot use them for the upper and lower ball joint, only for the one steering system. But yes, as you probably have seen, they will not come loose, so I will order some bigger ball joint splitter. So because yesterday this went not so well, I will try it again today. Maybe you'll have a little bit more luck. Yes, because I have not the right ball joint splitter for the upper and lower ball joint, I will remove the ball joint from the lower and upper arm for now, and yeah, take care of the ball joint later when I have the right splitter. I lifted the lower wishbone to take the pressure off the spring to make it more easy to loosen the screws of the upper ball joint. The next step will be to remove the shock absorber and then the spring, and then we are nearly ready with removing the parts from the left suspension. Now I'm definitely sure we will replace both shock absorbers at the front and I think also at the rear. Yes, so I will try to get the thing out in any way, and then if I have to destroy it, it's no problem. I think I will cut off the nut at the top, and yes, then we'll have a look what's with the bottom side of the, and maybe we have to cut it too. Yeah, next step will be to remove the lower arm on this side and then continue on the right side, removing the spring and the lower arm over there. Yes, after this did not go according to plan, as always, slightly change of plans, I will now continue with the right side, removing the spring, and then we will leave the front differential in place to lift the engine a little bit, so that we can remove the engine mounts on the left and right side to remove all the rust, and then put the engine mounts back in and then dismount the differential. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and we will see us again next Sunday. Bye bye! I changed the tank, so I will remove the prop after